Piracy is a warlike act committed by private parties that engaged in robbery and criminal violence on the high seas. The golden age of piracy took place during the late 17th and early 18th centuries. During that time, the Atlantic Ocean was a wild frontier with little law and order. Privateering was legal and government sanctioned during the War of Spanish Succession. However, after the war, many privateers were left unemployed and turned to piracy. Many merchants were also pirates or benefited from the stolen goods from pirates, and therefore it was not necessarily looked down upon, even in polite society. Pirates varied greatly in character and background, but they all shared a taste for wealth, a love of life on the sea, and a need for excitement. The golden age of piracy has been the inspiration for countless books and movies such as Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island and movies such as Pirates of the Caribbean and Peter Pan. In his book, The Pirate's Own Book, in 1837, Charles Elms wrote this: "There are few subjects that interest and excite the curiosity of mankind more than the desperate exploits, foul doings, and diabolical careers in human form. In fact, pirates continue to be a subject of intense fascination today." Today I'm going to talk about some common myths, some little known facts about pirates, the pirate code of conduct, and what happens to those convicted of piracy. The modern conception of pirates is largely derived from the Golden Age. However, much of what we think we know about this era is considerably inaccurate. As someone who grew up on the Atlantic coast with descendants of pirates such as Blackbeard, I've always had an interest in the subject. I've spent time listening to stories passed down from generations as well as done research on my own. The first common myth about pirates is that they buried their treasure. In fact, most common pirate loot consisted of things like silk, cotton, tools, medical and sailing supplies, weapons, food, and alcohol. Jewels were hard to sell, and pirates rarely understood their value anyway. Also, buried treasure meant that pirates were thinking about the future, and considering the dangerous lifestyle they led, few of them were actually needed a retirement plan. Another common myth is that they made their victims walk the plank. In fact, the most popular form of punishment of pirates was keel hauling, which meant they tied their victims to a rope which was looped under the ship and then dragged them. Another myth is that they shared a code of honor between their victims. Rumors of pirates such as Blackbeard told of him disemboweling captives, slicing off their ears, making them eat them, and cutting off their fingers. So while they shared a code of honor between their victims, they did not. Other myths such as pirate lingo, pet parrots, peg legs, and eye patches all may be derived from true stories, one or two. However, they've been highly exaggerated by today's films and books. Some facts about pirates. Most pirates were indeed ruthless fighters. However, they preferred to take a ship without a fight. If they were preceded by a reputation of murder, then people would not surrender quickly. If they did surrender, then it made their job easier and less dangerous. They also had to be excellent seamen to navigate the hazardous coastlines. Another little known fact is that 40% of all pirate crews are actually slaves freed when pirates took over slave ships. Pirates lived by a code of conduct. Each ship had a document, sometimes called pirate articles, which was signed by each crew member that joined the ship. They varied slightly between the crews, but they all shared the same basic principles of democracy. The first one was a system of checks and balances. On a pirate ship, the quartermaster actually was usually had more power than the captain. They could veto all the captain's orders except during times of battle or pursuit. Each ship member had equal vote on all important issues, and they appointed all the ship's officers. There was a system of profit sharing. Every captain received 2 shares of the loot, a quartermaster a share and a half, and each regular seaman received 1 share. Almost all pirates, at least once in their lifetime, received a share worth at least $1.7 million in today's money, so piracy was highly profitable. There was also special compensation for those wounded in battle, much like a disability payment. The last part that was shared in the pirate code of conduct was a system of discipline. Those caught deserting or keeping secrets were marooned on a deserted island, or sometimes just a sandbar, with little more than a flask of gunpowder, a bottle of water, some food, alcohol, and a pistol. Those caught stealing had their ears and nose split open before they were set ashore. Marooning most likely was a death sentence because they rarely made it off the island before running out of provisions. While the Pirate Code of Conduct meted out different levels of justice for internal offenders, there was only one punishment for those convicted by the government, and that was death by hanging. It was referred to as dancing the hempen jig by pirates because of the way the body convulsed when it was hanging. It was not the deterrent it was meant to be, however, because of the dire realities of battle and the dangerous lifestyle led by pirates. There were much worse fates for them. Some famous pirates that were hung were Stede Bonnet, William Kidd, Calico Jack, Charles Vane, and William Fly. For more famous pirates, punishment actually went beyond death. Their bodies were put into iron cages and hung up in a public place until their flesh rotted off, which could take up to 2 years. This was for all to see what happened to those convicted of piracy. An example of this was Captain Calico Jack Rackham. He was a pirate that served as such a gruesome warning. Eventually, increased military presence and tougher anti-piracy laws brought a close to the golden age of piracy. However, for a period of roughly 50 years, pirates took advantage of weak and lenient governments and wreaked havoc and terror on the high seas. During a time when war had ended and many sailors and privateers were left unemployed, piracy offered an opportunity for excitement, wealth, and a taste of adventure. The golden age of piracy has been an inspiration for countless movies and books, and many of the players are still well known today. Pirates are both heroes and villains. They strongly impacted a changing world, and their legacy will live on for a long time to come.